with your daughter or with your mom or maybe a sister, aunt, or cousin, and you already know how much fun that is. But Laura and I started at very different points in our life and for different reasons. For me, I had been teaching for 11 years. I loved what I did. But 2 babies in 16 months, life changed. And I took a semester off when you were born, and when I had to go back to school, I remember crying every single day. We were already struggling to pay our bills, so I didn't think that I could quit. But then I heard the Mary Kay marketing plan, and I knew right away that I needed everything that Mary Kay had to offer, but I just couldn't see myself in that role, and I thought it maybe sounded a little bit too good to be true. But the car program did intrigue me, and we desperately needed a car. So I agreed to give it 4 months just to see if it worked. So I agreed to do everything that my wonderful director me to do, and it did work. The car was in my driveway in 4 months, and I realized that if I did what they told me to do, I could have more. And we could build the home that we wanted, we could travel, you girls could go to the colleges of your choice, you could have the weddings that you wanted. Didn't know they were going to be 3 months apart. But I remember that first year as being the hardest. I was still teaching, and about 2-3 days a week, I would set my dining room table, get ready for a skincare class, go teach all day, come home. Your daddy was working nights, so we would have dinner, play, and then Cece, the 4th grader next door, you adored her and she adored you, and she would come over and play with you while I did a skincare class. And when it was all over and everybody went home, I put you to bed. But I can remember feeling really guilty because I had wanted more time with you, and at that point I felt like I had less.
You know, Mom, I think that was really a lot of wasted guilt. You know, Brittany and I were just talking the other day, and we didn't even really realize you were working then. We just thought it was playtime with Cece, so it's no big deal for us.
Well, I'm glad that you weren't permanently scarred by that, but I did decide that I would build my business fast because I didn't want to have to work 2 jobs forever.
And actually, one of the things I remember when she was building her business is that she loved what she did more than anything, and she was always home. Every day when we got off the school bus, she was home. She was there with us.
Well, probably the reason that you remember it that way, Laura, is because a very wise Mary Kay director taught me that before you got home from school, I should change my clothes. And it was always my goal to be up and dressed for business before you and your sister got up, and then to work really hard while you were at school. But before you got home, I closed the office door and put my play clothes on and went from businesswoman to mom on a daily basis. And probably something you don't remember from that first year when I was building fast was that every day you and your sister would ask me if I had a new team member. And when I did, we danced around the kitchen table. And when I didn't, then you guys were really disappointed, and that motivated me to do more the next day.
Well, I think when we used to dance around the table, I was only about 3 years old, so I probably don't remember that, but there's a lot of other things I remember. I remember family newsletter night, usually consisted of TGIF and pizza, and we learned how to collate and fold and staple and stamp about 350 newsletters once or twice a month, so we always looked forward to that. Other things I remember, she and my dad got to go on trips, all expense-paid trips every year to a different country. And Brittany and I always really looked forward to what you would bring us, of course. But we really enjoyed hearing about the different places you went to visit and just learning about the different countries and seeing the pictures. We loved that. I think there was a lot more that I picked up on, though, watching you work. I learned how to think bigger. I learned how to set big goals. And because of your big thinking, it really just seems to come more naturally to me, I think. You've shown me firsthand what this business has to offer, and you've encouraged me to stretch my thinking and to never stop short of achieving my goals. You've raised the bar.
Well, I love that you think big and that you dream big, but Laura, I think you picked up more because you watched me miss goals a lot. And I think you learned how to handle that because I remember your 4th month of DIQ, and you had worked so hard, and we were so excited about you being a director. And that last day of the 4th month, the clock ran out, and the last person didn't come through. And I can remember how hard that was for both of us. You cried, I cried. Makes me cry to think about it. It was heartbreaking, and you went home, but the next morning, you were totally back in the game. You finished early the second time and went on to reach all of the new director goals and ended up on the dean's list.
I definitely remember being crushed that night. I was pretty devastated, but it never once crossed my mind to quit.
Well, I'm glad you didn't think about quitting. But let's go back to the beginning for you, because I think there were a lot of years that you did not see yourself as a Mary Kay beauty consultant.
You're right, Mom. For a long time, I wasn't able to see myself in Mary Kay at all. I always had a great deal of respect for you and for the company. But I saw you speaking in front of huge groups of people and hosting big events, and I was terrified to speak in front of people. So, I think I always assumed that because I wasn't just like you that I could never be successful in this business. And so, in my mind, I thought that I could have the same lifestyle that you provided for us, but by doing something completely different. So I went to college and got a 4-year psychology degree from Clemson, and yeah, told you they'd cheer for Clemson. No. But I found out really quick that there's not a whole lot you can do with a 4-year psychology degree. So I took a job completely outside of my field, and it took less than a year for me to realize that I never wanted to work set hours for anyone again. So I quit my job, and I looked around a little and realized that Mary Kay was the only opportunity where I could have the income that I wanted, the flexibility that I wanted, and the kind of lifestyle that I was looking for. So.
Well, I really thought it would take you more than a year to figure that out. But I was really excited when you made the decision to give Mary Kay a try. I love seeing this business through your eyes and through your perspective, but I loved even more seeing your confidence grow. When you earned the use of your first free car 5 years ago, it was 2 minutes before your car party, and you came up to me and said, "Mom, if you make me talk, I will quit." Dead serious. And to see the confident woman that you've become is worth every one of my paychecks. But another huge part of why I wanted you in this business is because God had blessed me with incredible women in my unit, in my area, the consultants and directors in my area, and my $1 million NSD girlfriends. Powerful, positive women that I wanted you around. I always felt encouraged and supported, and I wanted that environment for you.
Well, I have definitely appreciated all the support and encouragement from your NSD girlfriends, but especially from you. Having a mom as a national sales director does have its perks, and I think that's a pretty common question that people ask me, what the biggest advantages are. And one thing that really comes to my mind is what a different mindset we had when we started. You might have been a little bit skeptical about how everything worked and if it really could work when you started your business, but for me, I had no doubts. I knew that we had a great product, I knew that this was a great company, and I always knew that the business worked. So I knew that if a company had to offer, that it was up to me. And whenever I have challenges, it doesn't ever cross my mind that this business doesn't work. I have living proof sitting right next to me that it does.
Well, I think that's a powerful message, Laura, because doubt is what holds so many people back, wondering if they can or if it works. And, you know, like most, my mom was not a national sales director. But again, that's why I appreciated the mentors in this business so much. I learned so much from not only what they taught, but from how they lived their lives. And I wanted what they had. I wanted to be a top executive, but to keep my priorities. And those priorities had always been important to me, as they are, I think, to most. But there are a lot of job opportunities and a lot of careers that do not allow you to keep those priorities. And I taught at a Christian college, but they expected me to be there no matter what was going on at home. And when you and your sister had strep and passed it back and forth, and you couldn't always stay with a sitter at home, there were many days that I took you with me to my studio and you sat on my lap while I gave voice lessons for 10 hours straight. And I'm so grateful to Mary Kay for giving us dovetailing. I built it right into the marketing plan, and so that we could put our priorities first. And I know those priorities are important to you as well. And even more important as equally important has been the flexibility in this business. And you've had a lot of life happen in the last 5 years, as we all do. You started single, dating, you got engaged, there was the wedding, you renovated a house top to bottom and lived under construction for 6 years. So that flexibility was really important to take care of what you wanted to, but still to build your business. But I know in the last 6 months that flexibility has you have a deeper appreciation for that flexibility.
Absolutely. When I started my business, I loved the flexibility that it had to offer by working for myself. In the beginning, I think it was just because I could sleep in a little bit later. But more recently, when my best friend of 18 years was diagnosed with a very aggressive type of cancer, my Mary Kay, this opportunity, this career, allowed me the time to take her to almost every chemo appointment, to be there by her side, and to spend countless precious hours by her side for whatever she needed. She passed away at the end of May. Sorry. And I took a lot of time off from my business. I took nearly a month off, and in those final months we earned our very first Cadillac. My incredible unit over there pulled through and earned our very first Cadillac while I took time off. I can tell you that if I had been working for anyone else, I would have not had that time with her, and I would have lived with regret for the rest of my life. But instead, I worked my business like a business so that I had things in place. We had the most productive 6 months that we've ever had. We nearly doubled in growth, and I was able to be there with her and to continue to help now with her 2 baby girls. And my purpose for sharing this with you is to give you a real life example of why it is so important to work this business full out while you can, so that it will continue to work for you when you can't. This experience has not only obviously affected my life, but it's strengthened my appreciation for what this business has to offer. So I know that whatever it took to stick with it in the tough times, and all those days where I might have struggled, those precious hours that I spent with Adrienne made it all worth it.
Well, I know that this has been an incredibly difficult time for you, Laura, and I cannot imagine you going through what you've gone through before all of the personal growth that you've had in the last 5 years, because not only have you grown personally, but you've grown spiritually, as most of us do when we start our Mary Kay business, and it's your faith that has gotten you through. You started your business 20 years after I signed my beauty consultant agreement. And I truly believe that this business has more to offer today, is a better opportunity today than it was when I started. And I'm so grateful for the leadership in Mary Kay, for guarding and protecting, for their wisdom and for their commitment to keep Mary Kay's dream alive. And as my Mary Kay career comes to an end, I am so excited to have you to carry on the legacy, others like you, who are that the values and principles that were so important to Mary Kay are so important to you, and that you will keep those in place for the next generation and the next and the next. And I just want to encourage each and every one of you, think about who's in your family, your immediate family, your extended family. And who you would want in this business with you. Call them from here, because I promise that your